Hey everybody, welcome to Last Week from the Table for November 24th, 2020. I am your host, DM Gallibond. Alright, Last Week from the Table is going to be a little bit shorter than normal. Reason being that one of our sessions didn't happen. Saturday night we had several people that were unavailable for the game. Therefore, we called off the Saturday night session. And this coming week, we are not going to be playing on Thursday night for sure because Thursday is Thanksgiving here in the U.S. So, in observance of that and the fact that people want to be with their families, we're not going to take people away from that for the holidays. Now, the interesting thing is that Saturday and Sunday are kind of up in the air as well for this weekend. And we'll talk about that when we talk about the recaps. Actually, there's not going to be a Saturday recap, so I'll talk about that in the place of the Saturday recap. All right, let's go ahead and get on with the show, shall we? All right, every Thursday night we play the Sword Coast Chronicles. This is our love letter to the 5e campaigns published by Wizards of the Coast so far in the run of 5th edition D&D. We had a change in storyline this week because we reached an inflection point where the Tyranny of Dragons storyline ran into another storyline, another one of the campaigns. The players haven't quite figured out what it is yet, I don't think, so I'm not going to spoil it for them. And this happened not exactly the way I had envisioned it. I had envisioned this to be the time that the two campaigns would intersect, but because they went a different route than I expected, I wound up having to use a different encounter than I anticipated them using. So the party was on the Desserin River on a boat headed north on the river. And they passed by the Riverguard Keep on the bluff on their left as they travel north on the river. And pretty soon after they passed that, they were being chased by pirates. And the lead guy on the large boat was a spellcaster covered in barnacles who has a big old claw for a hand, a big, huge trident, and was casting a spell that created a whirlpool in the river in front of the ship that the party was traveling on. So nearly 200 feet behind them, putting a whirlpool nearly 100 feet ahead of them. Yeah, long range on that spell. So the captain of the boat they were on started taking evasive maneuvers. Everybody's kind of wondering what was going to happen. The artificer decides to cast fog cloud and just puts a bank of fog across the river. Well, then that meant the pirates had to deal with the fog. And so then the party was able to do a few other things, and they actually had some great rolls on their attack rolls. They all decided to attack into the fog, and because of the way 5e works, it's got a weird mechanic where advantage and disadvantage offset. So if you think about firing into fog, you as the attacker cannot see your target. So because you can't see your target, that would normally give you disadvantage. But if your target is inside the fog, the target cannot see the attacker. And so that target grants the attacker advantage. Well, because the attacker is granted advantage by the target and has disadvantage because they can't see the target, those two cancel out and it's just a flat roll. To me, that seems unsatisfying, but that's the way the rules in 5th edition are written, so that's the way we're playing it. Everybody agrees that's kind of a weird rule. It seems like everybody ought to have disadvantage in that situation, but that's not the way it's worked. That's not the way it works. That's not the way 5th edition is designed. But the party got a lot of great attack rolls, and because they got a lot of great attack rolls, they were able to actually get the um, main uh, pirate down to below half health. At which case, he called off the attack because he didn't want to die just to try to rob this stupid boat. It was defended a lot better than he expected by this band of adventurers. So, um, that really made them think. And they said, oh, some of the party members wanted to turn around and go after the pirates and try to finish this guy off. The rest of the party was like, no, 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 we're hurt. We're low on spells. We need to rest. So they eventually decided to have the captain pull over and they disembarked the boat because they were only a few miles upriver from the keep, and the captain was not going to turn his boat around. He's just a river merchant. He has no weapons. He has no nothing. He was really glad the party was there to defend him, but he's not going to take his boat and try to attack a keep with it. That felt like suicide to him and his crew. But he let the party off, and they started traveling down the bluff back towards the keep because they wanted to see if they could go in there and finish this thing off. But on the way, they got intercepted by a druid. Druid who claims that he is from a circle called the Circle of the Scarlet Moon. Claims that he and his circle leader, a guy called Elazar Dryflagon, that they are enemies of this cult. The cult that is holed up at that keep is a very evil cult. They are an evil cult dedicated to the forces of evil elemental water. They worship them evil elemental things. We are their opponents. Come with us. Come to Scarlet Moon Hall. There you can be refreshed. You can tell our leader, Elazar Dryflagon, about this encounter that you've had, and we can help you in your battle against this evil cult. And the party is like, wait a second, we've been after this cult of the dragon. You heard anything about a cult of the dragon? He's like, no, I haven't. But there is this cult, and you know what? If there's a cult dedicated to Tiamat, these guys are probably in league with them. So they go to this camp where the guy is, and several of his other druids are there. And then they start escorting the party back across the plain towards this keep that they have called Scarlet Moon Hall. And they finally get towards Scarlet Moon Hall, and they see this big tower that had been in disrepair but is being fixed up. There's a bunch of people encamped on the hill around the tower. They all look like they're travelers and druids of different sorts. And there's this scaffolding up, and there's this huge effigy, this wicker effigy of a human. And the guy they're traveling with says, "Yeah, in a couple of nights, we're going to burn that thing because you know, that's a symbol of the power of nature. Um, over the evils of man. And we're going to have a big celebration. Y'all are welcome to join us for that." And that's where our session ended. So they are they are there at Scarlet Moon Hall. They haven't been inside. They just are there and they're trying to figure out which of these camps they might want to go and meet up with and talk to people there. So that is where we are in that campaign. Like I said, we will not be playing Thursday night because of Thanksgiving. So, no game this coming week. We will be back at it, I believe. So, Monday is the 1st of December. So, 2nd, 3rd, or so 1st will be Tuesday, 2nd, 3rd. 3rd of December will be our next game for Sword Coast Chronicles. All right. Lost Mine of Original D&D. I already mentioned how we didn't have a game, and because it's Thanksgiving weekend, and traditionally, 2020 obviously is very different than other years, so nothing usual about the way this year is gone. Uncertain how things will go this year, but we did not have a game. And a lot of times people do Thanksgiving for an entire weekend. Don't know if people will be doing it. I will need to see um, if we have people coming for the Lost Mine game on Saturday night. So we may have a game Saturday, we may not. And then finally, Walker of Waterdeep. Um, it sounds like everybody's going to be available on Sunday and from the player standpoint. So we did have a game this week and we probably will have a game next week. The only monkey wrench is going to be the scheduling of the MLS playoffs. As you can see, the way I normally record, I usually wear my lucky Orlando City jersey, and this year it has been a lucky jersey because not only did Orlando City make it into the playoffs this year, they won their playoff game, which means they will play in the next round, which we know is going to be on Sunday. The problem is we don't know what time or what city that game is going to be in. There are two time slots on the MLS schedule. There's a 3 p.m. time slot on Sunday and an 8 p.m. time slot. We don't know who the opponent or the time slot is until at least Tuesday night. Uh, Tuesday night is New England at Philadelphia, and the winner of that game will play Orlando City. If Philadelphia wins, Orlando will have to travel to Philly and play them there. If New England wins, New England will have to travel to Orlando and play us here. The I think the other game's matchup is not going to be decided until Wednesday, so it may be as late as Wednesday night or Thursday morning before we find out whether our team is playing at 3 o'clock or at 8 o'clock. Um, but I've already told my players if the game happens at 3 o'clock Eastern, we're not having a session. Uh, it's the first time in 6 years that Orlando City has been to the MLS playoffs. We play D&D every week. I'm going to take the week off and watch the playoff game. But getting back to our session this past week, the party is in Kamigawa. The party was on their way from uh, the keep of the Aki towards the snake people that live in the Jukai forest. And as they traveled, they got ambushed by a bunch of human bandits. Um, Not any ordinary bandits, though. They're bandits that were led by some spellcasters, and the bandits jumped them. There were two of the uh, okay. There are two of the spellcasting bandits, and I think about eight of the non-spellcasting bandits. And all of these spellcasting bandits make 3 dagger attacks every round. And it looked a little bit dicey for the party as the fight got underway. But it wasn't long before one of the spellcasters in the party polymorphed one of the enemy spellcasters into a snail, and the other spellcaster got a face full of the barbarian with his big, huge great axe. And the upshot of it was that after the second spellcaster saw his buddy polymorphed and he got down to about half his hit points, he just turned around and bolted and called a retreat. And the surviving bandits fled into the forest, but they had one bandit that they had knocked to 0 hit points with subdual damage, and the other bandit that is a polymorph snail that they are ready to bind up as soon as they release him from the polymorph. So we will start next session, whether that's this coming Sunday or the following Sunday. We will start that session by resolving what happens with their prisoners, questioning them, and then seeing what the party wants to do from there. So that is where we are in the Walker of Waterdeep in Kamigawa. Come join us Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern if we are playing, and you will see. Otherwise, we will be playing the following weekend. All right, everyone, that is going to do it this week for Last Week from the Table. Thank you for watching. If you like what we're doing here on this channel, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share the video, click the post notification bell so that you too get notified every time new content drops on the channel. And I'll remind you to always try to make your games memorable so that you have tales from your table that you can share as well. Good night, everybody.